Look, I'll be honest with you. I started this competition prep for one reason, and it's definitely not what you think. And look, in this episode, I'm going to show you my full protocol today: macros, meals, peptides, performance enhancing drugs, training, everything. But the real reason that I did this is I felt like I was getting soft. Okay. But first, I want to show you where I started in this 4-week prep versus where I'm at now. Here you'll see on the left, that's where I kind of started at. On the right is where I'm at now. Here's a little back shot. These back shots are 3 weeks apart. Then here's a little frontmost muscular that are 3 weeks apart. And although like I wasn't in terrible shape, I'd always prioritized fitness, but I was getting soft in other areas. I was drinking too much, staying up too late, doom scrolling, just like fucking around and seeking too much comfort and pleasure. And it hit me when I was reading this book it's called The Comfort Crisis by a guy named Michael Esther. And he says, we're living in a sheltered, sterile, temperature controlled, under-challenged lives. And man, it hit me because when everything's easy, you lose the adaptations that make you strong. And so if you've been struggling with motivation, what I think is that motivation is not something that you wait around for. It really is something that you can create. See, motivation is simply a dopamine feedback loop, okay? It's an actual mechanical process in the brain that essentially shows when you accomplish things, small controllable variables throughout the day, and you check things off, your brain gives you more dopamine, and that dopamine gives you the motivation. So we have to have these small things that we can check off and do. And in my opinion, fitness is one of the best conduits for that, to start to rewire our brain to be more motivated, to be able to accomplish other things. In fact, my first bodybuilding prep, I think was one of the biggest reasons that soon after that, I went from being broke, just coming off a drug addiction, to building a $40 million business in just 5-6 years, and now having an $11 million net worth. All right. So anyways, the thing that people miss is that when you commit to something hard, like tracking food, every single bite of food, sticking to caloric deficit, showing up to train when you don't feel like it, all of these things, it becomes easier, and then it gets fun. And then your brain flips on that reward circuit, and it's like your nervous system saying like, dude, we're fucking crushing it. Let's win more. Okay, so suddenly you're not chasing motivation. You become the person who is just motivated, and that'll show up everywhere. So now I want to get into the meat and potatoes of this. All right, so we're going to talk about exactly what I'm doing with this prep. But the key point here is that you need to understand, if you're asking yourself the question, what do I need to do to be successful? If you're watching this page, it might be because you want to grow your fitness business, your health coaching business. Instead, I want you to start asking, who do I need to become to be successful? And listen, let me give you a quick embarrassing aside here. Okay, so originally I thought that I signed up for a 4-week prep, and I had to talk my wife into this because she hates when I prep. Okay, I turn into a robotic zombie. I'm no fun. And the show was supposed to be on October 8th, but I'm an idiot. Okay, so I signed up for a show that requires a national qualification, and I haven't competed since 2019, so I wasn't qualified. And now we've got a bunch of obligations. I shouldn't say obligations. My wife's over here. We're going on our anniversary trip next week, and then we have all of our employees and staff coming in for an offsite. We've got a client retreat. So anyways, long story short, I'm now competing on November 9th, which is now making this a 9-week prep. So anyways, let's get tactical. Let's jump into the protocols that I'm using. You'll see a bunch of what appear to be drugs in front of me. Some are drugs, some are peptides. This is actually my 5-month-old daughter's toy. I don't know why that's here, but all to say, I'm going to hit you guys with everything that I'm doing. So in terms of macros and nutrition, I follow macros. I think macro tracking is the easiest, the best way to do it, so you don't burn yourself out on eating the same foods. And food variety is very important for health. I have 3 different days. I have days that I train. My training days are 290 protein, 330 carb, 60 fat. On non-training days, I just drop carbs by 50. Okay, so 300 protein, 230 carbs, 60 fat. And then 1 day a week, I have a refeed. A refeed meaning that I really ramp carbs up in order to refill glycogen stores and help to kind of fire up your metabolism again. So that's 290 protein, 440 carb, and then I lower fats to 45. Okay, so let me walk you through, if you're curious, like what's a day of eating look like, right? And then we'll get into the stuff you're probably here for. What are the peptides that I'm using, the steroids? And when it comes to peptides and PEDs, I'm using a minimal effective dose and leveraging more peptides than things like androgens and steroids. Because frankly, I'm 36 years old. I'm not trying to fucking get a heart attack just to get third at some regional show. I think peptides are a much safer and healthier way to leverage your goals versus just pumping androgenic steroids. But we'll get into that. On a day of eating, I might eat egg whites and a whole egg. I weigh it all out. I'll do blueberries. Cream of rice is my favorite food when I'm dieting. There's a brand called Rice and Grinds that makes a peanut butter cream of rice that is absolutely the best food in the world. And I might put a little MCT oil in there for fats. Then I might eat some lean turkey for meal 2, some venison, jasmine rice, and veggies. For pre-workout, I go cream of rice again with some protein powder and blueberries. And then I usually go, while I'm training, I do intra carb powder, usually cyclic dextrins. just carb powders, use about 30 grams of carbs. And then I use essential amino acids, and then I put in some creatine and citrulline. And then after that, I'll eat maybe some more protein, egg whites, maybe some cereal, almond butter. And then finally, for my last meal, I'll have a sourdough bread sandwich with some lean deli turkey, maybe some Quest protein chips, rice cakes, almond butter, and some greens. That's it. Okay. Now, here's the real key. Like, what variables you're utilizing around training, peptides, hormones, things like this, to really maximize your training window for fat loss and muscle building, because you can, in fact, grow through a prep and through a caloric deficit if you're doing the right things, especially if you're using peptides and androgens. So what I do is, like, 60 to 90 minutes before I train, I eat my meal. Okay. And then I wait about 60, 90 minutes. And then what I do is I take imiperilone CJC. So I'll take CJC plus imiperilone. What this is, it's a growth hormone secretagogue. Essentially what this does is it signals to your brain to produce more growth hormone versus actual growth hormone that you're putting growth hormone into your body. Now, this shit usually doesn't work all that well. Now, it's fine, like, it's okay, but it's not going to make a huge difference, but it works really well with actual growth hormone. So I'll use 100 micrograms of this, then I'll wait 20 minutes, and then I'll do 1 IU of pharma grade growth hormone. Then I do about 30 milligrams of NAD+. NAD+ is one of my favorite peptides. It is a powerful, just healing mitochondrial efficiency peptide. It's got so many benefits, and this also has good synergy with the growth hormone before training. Then I'll use SLU 332. I do 500 micrograms of this. This essentially ramps up your metabolism, but not in a way like Clen and other like stimulant-based products. This actually just works on a cellular level to increase your metabolic rate without you feeling jittery, okay? So I'll use about a serving of this. Then we get into training. Now, in training, I wait about 20 minutes because you never want to take carbs around growth hormone spikes, because insulin blunts the growth hormone response, okay? And it can start to mess with your insulin sensitivity. So what I do is I'll wait 20 minutes into my workout and I'll start sipping on 30 grams of carbs, all right? Then immediately post-workout, we go back to the CJC imiperilone. I do 100 micrograms. I wait 20 minutes. I do another IU of growth hormone, and then I wait and eat my meal 20 minutes after that. That meal is usually high, is just protein and a lot of carbs, okay? So fat loss, cardio. What do we do with cardio? So every morning I do a fasted LISS session. LISS is low intensity, steady state. This is a 30-minute walk. Now, what I'm trying to do though for this LISS state, when I wake up fasted, my insulin's really low. So I'm trying to take advantage of a growth hormone window to be able to burn more fat. So what I do is I do CJC imiperilone, 100 micrograms. I wait 10 minutes and then I do 2 IUs of growth hormone. Then I do MOTS-C. MOTS-C is an amazing, amazing peptide for metabolism. That's what this is right here. So MOTS-C is not only good for metabolic condition and health, it also helps for cellular healing, mitochondrial efficiency. This is an all-around like badass peptide. So I'll do a little bit of this, and then I'll do the SLU again, the SLU peptide for before cardio. And my favorite peptide that I'm doing right now is retatrutide. This bad boy right here. This is a GLP-1. But different than other GLP-1s that only have one mechanism of action, which is essentially to trick your brain into believing that you're full. So it helps with hunger and like lowers food noise. This also acts on glucagon, and it has powerful effects on your insulin sensitivity, meaning this retatrutide is not only going to make you crave food less, it's not only going to make you increase your basal metabolic rate and your liver actually burn more fat. It's also going to, most importantly, with the glucagon effect, it is going to shuttle way more carbs to your muscles as compared to being stored for fat. And this peptide, man, I'm telling you, it has so many other benefits. They're showing it can rewire your dopamine system for people who have addictive-like personalities. So they're using it for alcohol reduction, for people who maybe crave certain things, because it literally resets dopamine response. It also is anti-cancer. It also has anti-inflammation properties. It's incredible. So beyond that with cardio, I try to get 11,000 steps a day, which is a lot of fucking steps. But it's fun because I have kids, so we put them in the stroller. My wife and I go on walks. We walk down to the park. We do a lot of walking. And then finally, I do HIIT twice a week. So with HIIT, what I do is my assault bike. I go 9 rounds all out on the assault bike. If you've never done an assault bike, that is fucking brutal. Your heart rate should be up at like 150, 160 for 20 seconds. Then I go 40 seconds, kind of easy, right? Just kind of like cruising. We do that 9 times. You should be ready to throw up after this, but it only takes 8 or 9 minutes, all right? So high-level supplements. You guys all want to know about sups, and then we'll get into the steroids, dog. So supplements, I use Morphogen Nutrition, which is my favorite supplement brand. I take their heart and lipid supplement. I take their kidney and blood pressure supplement, the one for liver. the one for omegas, EPA and DHA, fish oil basically. I take creatine between 10 and 20 grams a day. 10 grams a day is usually fine, but studies show that creatine can be a powerful tool for sleep deprivation. So if you have a bad night's sleep, I would bump that up to 20 grams a day of creatine, and they've shown massive improvements in overcoming sleep deprivation symptoms by high creatine levels. And that's it. The other things I do take, there's a company I really love called Heart and Soil. It's basically like liver, bovine, bone marrow, all in capsule form. And I take their histamine and immunity, their liver product, and their mood and memory one. Okay. So finally, the other things that I take are telemarcetin. What is telemarcetin? It's a blood pressure supplement, or it's a medication. When you're on these kind of drugs and you're doing these sort of things, you're running a business, I use nicotine. I also use Vyvanse a few days a week. You got to really watch your blood pressure. Okay. So my telemarcetin, I take 20 to 40 milligrams a day. Beta plus, or that's what I take for blood pressure. And then I use a beta plus for increased bile flow with every meal for liver processing, and betaline HCl to help break down high protein diets. So let's talk about peptides. We've already covered most of them, but just to repeat, MOTS-C, again, one of my favorite ones. This helps with insulin sensitivity, metabolic support. SS31. SS31 is a great peptide, especially if you're using things like testosterone or other androgens to get more out of your dosage. Okay, this pairs really well with androgens. So I take 4 to 5 milligrams Monday through Friday. It's also great for energy and recovery. Then glutathione. Glutathione is essentially your body's main peptide or main process that helps to detox your body. It's a powerful antioxidant. So I take glutathione, 1 ml of this 3 to 4 times a week for antioxidant and liver support. Then one of my other favorite peptides, and you guys can see here, I'm a walking fucking science experiment. This is called GLOW. Okay, GLOW is a combination of BPC 157, TB 500, GHK, CU. This repairs soft tissue, joint repair incredibly well. It helps your body increase collagen production. It repairs, nagging joints and injuries. It also makes your face and your skin tighter, your hair grow better. It helps with gut healing. I mean, this thing all around is such a powerful peptide. If you're just looking for like longevity and things to make you feel better and look better, definitely check out the GLOW peptide. And then I also take Cardigen. Cardigen is basically a peptide that helps for heart inflammation. Okay. That's pretty much it on the peptides. Again, to repeat, retatrutide, I would definitely recommend that for anybody who's trying to lose weight or for just anybody that wants to be healthier. Start at 0.1 milligram a day. It's an agonism for appetite and fat loss. Now, let's talk about the PEDs. Look, these PEDs, this is all just for transparency. I've never lied about anything. I'm not giving advice, not suggesting you should run androgenic anabolic steroids. This is just what I do. Now, my philosophy when it comes to PEDs is to use the minimal amount that you need to get your desired effect. Okay, I've had periods of my life back in 2019 where I just wanted to push more. Okay, so you can see a photo here of what I looked like in 2019. I was running 500 milligrams of test. I was running Trenbolone, Deca, NPP. I was running Winstrol. I was doing Halo testing at the time. And man, if you looked at me, I was a bloated mess. My blood pressure was a mess. And I got a little bit more jacked, but it's for what, right? It's not worth sacrificing your health. You can use these compounds in a very responsible way and still get a lot of upside and benefit with very little risk. So the first thing is testosterone, right? I've always been on TRT for a long time, but I basically just took my TRT dose from 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams. Very small dose. Some bodybuilders will run up to a gram, 1,000 milligrams a week of this. I've even seen up to 4,000 milligrams a week of this. It's unnecessary in my opinion. So 200 milligrams a week, split this dose between Monday and Thursday or Tuesday and Friday. Do it 2 times a week so you have more stable levels, okay? And a little pro hack to testosterone injections. Don't use a needle like this, right? A giant, massive gauge needle. Instead, use an insulin syringe. What you're gonna do is you're gonna get a 30 gauge insulin syringe. We find it right here, just like this. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw your testosterone with a bigger needle like this, draw the amount that you need out. Then you're going to take this smaller gauge, you're going to pull the plunger out, and then you are going to dump that testosterone in here, okay? So let's say your dose is 200 milligrams a week. I would do 100 milligrams twice per week. That'd be half an ml in here. We're going to put this plunger back in. Then we're going to use this to pin. And do you see the difference between this and this? This is a way bigger needle. Some people go in with like 1.5 inches, 28 gauge needle, you're going to give yourself scar tissue. It fucking hurts. It's terrible. You don't even feel this. You can pin this in your shoulder, in your ventral glutes, in your legs. You can pin these anywhere, and it's just going to help so much with the fucking pinning part. All right, little pro tip. Now, next, the only other compound that I'm using in terms of like AAS, androgenic anabolic steroids, is Masteron. Masteron, I'm taking at 200 mgs a week, and I'll probably end up bumping that up to closer to 4 as we get closer to the show. Now, Masteron is just a hardening agent. It's very safe. It's one of the most safe compounds out there. And the cool thing with Masteron is it's actually anti-estrogenic, because testosterone will affect your estrogen levels. This actually reduces them. So usually when you're running these two things together, you don't need to run like a SARM or things to help lower your estrogen. All right, so that's pretty much it. With training, I just train. I do use growth hormone too. I'm a big fan of pharma growth hormone. I'm using supatropin, using 4 IUs a day. That's usually 2 IUs pre-cardio on training days. And I do pre-cardio every day. And then I do 1 IU pre-training, 1 IU post. And then on my off days, I do 2 IU pre-training, and then I do 1 IU pre-HIIT, and then 1 IU pre-bed. Now, the last thing I'll be doing, very last thing, is Winstrol, an oral steroid, only 2 weeks out from the show. Don't run this long. It's a very harsh compound. I might even do it like 7 days out from the show. But Winstrol, for me, hardens me up, makes me look crazy. But I'm only going to do it for a short time because, again, my health is my biggest priority. As far as training, I'm going to keep it real simple. I go high volume rotation, 6 days on, 1 off. We go quads, hams, then we go chest, back, shoulders, then we go arms, calves, then we go back, traps, delts, then we go chest, shoulders, calves, then we take an off day, then we repeat. Real simple. So yeah, and as far as abs, so we do want to train abs, right? Like you want to make sure you have strong abs. The big thing though with abs is you want to do heavy, full extension, full contraction movements just with your abs. You want to stay away from heavy oblique movements because with bodybuilding and just overall physique and aesthetics, you want to have a tight waist. You don't want a blocky waist. So you want to actually allow your obliques to atrophy as much as you can and keep most of the tension right in your abs. So all I do with abs are 2 weighted moves, 3 to 4 sets each one, like twice a week. That's it. All right, guys, that's it. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is hopefully you found some value from this if you're a nerd like me and you just love the peptides, the protocols, and all of these things. But more importantly, if you're a health or fitness coach, look, I really think one of the best things you can do for yourself and your business is periodically doing something hard, like a diet phase or even a competition prep. And if you're not, you're leaving money and momentum on the table, right? Number one, not only do you get marketing appeal, you're your walking billboard. Okay, a better physique makes your content more visually magnetic. And number two, client relatability. When you're doing the same things that you're asking your clients to do, you just have more relatability. You understand the discipline, the head games, the tactics, the tricks. You coach better. Number three, you create business discipline. Habits transfer. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Okay, I haven't had a drink now in 5 weeks. I'm tracking every macro and I'm sharper in my business decisions. And last thing is content gold. You can document the process and it gives you endless, authentic, follow the journey style content. All right, guys, that's it. Hopefully you found some value from this. I know this isn't the typical business only advice, but I just love this stuff. I'm having a lot of fun with this prep. And we are now 4 weeks away from the show. I'll come back here and do another video to show you guys where we're at when we finish and how we actually finish at the show. So if you found this valuable, hit the subscribe button, tune in, shoot me a message on Instagram if you have any questions about any of these things. In fact, if you want to know where I buy my peptides from, where I source things, anything like that, hit me up on Instagram at @JordanDuggar_, and I'll see you dudes and ladies on the next one.